All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's always exciting to come and talk to students, especially my students from UNC Charlotte. I've got my mug. I thought about bringing it from home. Got my coffee, my cafecito ready to go. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to come and speak to students, especially if you are thinking about becoming a teacher. So if you have that in the back of your mind, I really hope after today that really ingrains in your heart and you think about becoming an educator, probably. I hope so. All right. So again, I'm excited to be here. I am going to share my screen, but I am going to be on and off from the screen just because I do have some things I want to show you. And then I'm going to come off the screen, the presentation to really share with you some points that I wanted to share. So make your comeback stronger than your setbacks. El camino se hace al andar. No tengo ni la menor duda. Cuando me presentaron este título, dije yo, exactamente mi vida. That's what it is in our daily lives. As a student, you go and you know, opportunities come your way. Y el camino se hace mientras uno vaya tomando ventaja de eso. So right now, I'm an ESL teacher at Concord High School. This is my 5th year teaching high school students. Before high school students, I taught at the elementary level for quite a few years. I did ESL, and before ESL, I was a teacher assistant and a bus driver. So this is my 19th year here in Cabarrus County. And then again, thank you for having me here today. I love when I am part of a presentation. I'm sure right now you're holding your phone. So if I tell you to raise your hand, I know you have your phone in your hand. But if you do want to share, I would appreciate you tagging me. All of these are professional platforms, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. All of these are professional where I share everything I do here in my classroom. Así que si van a compartir algo, cualquier cosa que sea bonito, don't be sharing anything negative. I'm just kidding, whatever. But I do appreciate you tagging me and sharing away. So Emily Fran ESL is my Twitter. Mrs. Francis ESL is my Instagram, as well as my Facebook. Tengo 4 puntos que quiero compartirles hoy. Y pues por el tiempo, solo vamos a hacer 5 minutos para cada punto. Así que si tienen alguna pregunta, escríbanla y luego aclararemos cualquier pregunta que tengan al final, because 5 minutes for each one of these areas is not enough. But I do want to give you like the very gist of what you want to hear today. So point 1, you are going to hear my life in Guatemala. Point 2, you're going to hear about immigration journey. Point 3, you'll hear about my high school experiences here in the U.S. And of course, point 4, you'll hear about my education y mi carrera aquí en los Estados Unidos. Así que con el tiempo cortadito vamos a aprender. Vamos a comenzar con Life in Guatemala, la cultura y familia. Aquí está la fotografía más bella que yo tengo de mi familia. Esta es mi madre y mis 4 hermanos. I'm the biggest one, the cutest one. I don't even have to say anything. La más bonita de todas. Aquí está, la más grande. So, of course, ustedes saben la cultura hispana. Cuando uno es el más grande, you are in charge of everything. You got to do the dishes, you got to do the laundry, you have to cook, you have to do the grocery shopping. So that was me. That was my job, taking care of my siblings and helping my mother. So the experiences that I lived in Guatemala por 15 años son experiencias que las tengo en mi corazón, en mi alma, en mi mente. Viví 15 años en los cuales yo experimenté cultura, experimenté comida de Guatemala, aprendí a cocinar tamales, todo lo que se refiere a la comida guatemalteca. I also helped my mother with the family business. So in Guatemala, my mother, of course, with a third grade level of education, she dropped out of school so she can start working. And she had a business that consisted on selling naranjas en el mercado. Tú sabes, allá no hay supermercados, allá el mercado está abierto. En el mercado yo tenía mi canasta with oranges, and I will sell those oranges at the market. If I was not home, helping with my siblings. Estaba en el mercado vendiendo mis naranjas, asegurándome que no me quitaran las naranjas y que me dieran el dinero que debería de ser. And if I didn't sell my oranges at the market, I was very responsible to go from door to door around the neighborhood selling my oranges, asking, can you buy my naranjas? Please, I need to bring money home. Because we depended on those oranges to be sold para tener dinero para comprar tortillas, sal, tortillas con sal. Si no había tortillas con sal, no había nada que comer. Así que eso era lo que yo hacía en Guatemala y claro, fui a la escuela. Yo era muy eficiente en la escuela, me gustaba el estudio, me gustaba aprender, me gustaba hacer muchas cosas en la escuela. And this goes about experiences that students bring are highly influential and need to be taken into account. Ahora que yo soy maestra, pienso en las experiencias que yo viví mientras yo estaba en Guatemala y cómo es que esas experiencias que yo viví por 15 años, días o años después, resultan siendo la influencia que yo necesito o que yo necesitaba para volver a ser una influencia aquí en donde yo vivo. Pero claro, la situación se puso un poco más difícil y a la edad de los 13 años, right here, still the pretty one, la más bonita, esta soy yo. At 13 years old, my mother decided to leave Guatemala, come here to the United States, and we stayed back home. And when I say we, of course, me as a 13-year-old con todos mis hermanitos en este shack que nosotros mismos construimos en el backyard de una persona que se quedó como encargada de nosotros. Así que en el backyard hicimos el shack que tenía dos mattresses, una refrigeradora, una estufa y claro, la pila. Aquí está el laundromat. Ahí era donde nosotros teníamos que cargar agua. Cada uno de mis hermanitos tenía un bucket and we would have to walk to the closest factory to bring water because we didn't have running water and we needed that water to do our dishes, to do our laundry, para tomar agua, cualquier necesidad que teníamos. Así que a la edad de los 13 años fue que mi madre se vino aquí a los Estados Unidos. Y aquí es donde voy a parar de compartir la pantalla, porque cuando mi mamá se fue de Guatemala para acá a los Estados Unidos, no había FaceTime, no había Facebook, no había Instagram para podernos comunicar con ella. So the way that we communicated with her was through handwritten letters. And I have them all right here. So right here, this is the way that my mother and I used to write each other every day. Hey, what did you do yesterday? What did you eat yesterday? Did you go to church? Did you go to school? And esa fue la manera en que yo le escribía a mi mamá me escribía a mí y así era que nos manteníamos en contacto. Por 2 años mi madre vivió aquí en los Estados Unidos y yo viví en Guatemala, doing the best that I could do to take care of my siblings, giving them a shower, sending them to school. Even I was attending school and I completed my 6th grade level education, which really, that's a high regard in Guatemala. Teniendo ese diploma de 6º grado, yo crucé el stage sin que mi mamá estuviera allí, pero fue como un regalo para ella que ella estar aquí en los Estados Unidos estaba haciendo el esfuerzo para yo entonces lograr lo que se podía allá en Guatemala. But of course, it was very difficult without my mother being back home. So we started asking her, hey, mom, when are you coming? When are you coming? We need you to be here. And she started making plans. But this is where I come into the second step of the presentation when it comes about my immigration journey. A los 15 años, mi mamá comenzó a hacer los planes para que nosotros nos viniéramos aquí a los Estados Unidos. Y claro, la experiencia no fue montándome un avión desde Guatemala a los Estados Unidos. No, no fue así. Mi madre tuvo que pagar un coyote y de esa manera fue que yo y mis dos hermanitas nos venimos aquí a los Estados Unidos. Y hay dos cosas que nunca se me van a olvidar. One thing is, hey, pack up your essentials. Agarra tu mochila, cada uno con una mochila, and pack up your essentials. Think about whatever you can fit in that backpack, because tomorrow they're going to pick you up to go across borders. So when they tell you that, you walk into this shack and look around and thinking, ¿qué es lo esencial? ¿Qué es lo que me voy a llevar de mi tierra, de mi casa, de mi hogar donde nunca voy a volver? So una de las cosas, one of the things that I put in my backpack were all of these letters that I just showed you. All of these handwritten letters that my mother had written me, que tenían esperanza, que tenían la fuerza que ella me escribía todo el tiempo. So my backpack had all of those letters that she had written me. And of course, in that backpack, I had pictures of us playing outside, riding a bike, jugando en el río, jugando tenta, comiendo frijoles, porque esas fotos me estaban a mí demostrando una vida que yo había vivido en Guatemala y que no solamente estaba en mi corazón, en mi mente, pero yo necesitaba tener esas fotos para luego enseñárselas a mis hijos, a los hijos de mis hermanos. Así que that was my essential. So in my backpack, I grabbed my sisters, and we get into that vehicle with that smuggler con el coyote. Y esas experiencias duraron 2 meses, de noviembre hasta enero. Estuvimos en diferentes hoteles, en diferentes casas, en diferentes moteles, viendo a gente holding on to the same hope that we were holding on to. And of course, I have to put this quote here that says, experiences that continuously shape and influence our reality become our journey. Antes yo decía, tengo una historia, te voy a contar mi historia. Now, I don't say mi historia. It's not a story because it's not something that happened and is forgotten. It's a journey. It's something that adds on. And I learned this years later, like right here, you see me riding around this taxi in Mexico City. And I do remember one day holding my sister's hand, we ended up en el Ángel de la Independencia. En el mero centro de México hay una estatua, pero maravillosa, que representa, cierto, la libertad. Y yo me quedaba viendo a esa estatua, tenía 15 años. Y andaba caminando las calles de un país extraño. Y yo miraba esa estatua y decía, ¿qué hago yo aquí? No entiendo qué es lo que estoy haciendo en este momento aquí. But little did I know that experience that I was going through right there in that moment, 25 years later, if you forward that, 25 years later, I'm standing at the same spot at the foot of that statue as a teacher leader from North Carolina with 42 teachers. Yo encargada de 42 maestros explicándoles el momento en que 15 años antes estaba yo allí explicando qué era ser un emigrante, qué es ponerse una mochila con lo esencial para pasar de un país a otro. Así es de que las experiencias que uno vive, quizá cuando uno tiene 15 años, 16, 18, uno dice, ¿por qué estoy pasando por esto? No entiendo por qué estoy experimentando esto. But let me just tell you, and I promise you, that every experience that you are going through, that you have been through, become an influence for your journey, for what you are getting ready to accomplish in the future. So here I move on to the next step, which is the high school in the US, an English language learner. That's what we call a student que viene aquí a los Estados Unidos a aprender inglés como segundo idioma. Así que aquí está una fotografía mía. Mira qué bonita yo con mi cap and gown. Lo que no pueden ver en esta foto es cómo realmente me siento. Porque en el momento que yo entré a estudiar a la escuela de aquí de los Estados Unidos, yo entré muy contenta, ya estaba aquí en los Estados Unidos, ya no tenía que vender naranjas, ya no tenía que ir al mercado, solamente tenía que estudiar, me daban comida gratis, me daban el pase del bus gratis, estaba yo muy emocionada, yo quería graduarme de high school, I wanted to get my diploma so that I can go to college. So la foto que ven aquí, claro, es una sonrisa. Pero lo que no ven es de que detrás de eso hay una niña que tiene muchos piojos, porque acaba de venir de los estados de Guatemala a otro país y no hablaba inglés y era lo que en ESL le llamamos SLIFE, un estudiante con educación interrumpida, porque de sexto grado me pasaron hasta el noveno grado, o sea, me saltaron 4 años. I was a student of low socioeconomic status, wearing hand-me-down clothes, and I didn't look like the other kids. ESL only, yo miraba mi horario, yo miraba mi schedule que le dicen en high school, and I was like, ESL, period 1, period 2, ESL, period 3, ESL. I was like, what in the world? They really want me to just nail this English. And I was like, okay, if they want me to, I will. And this is what I call packing away culture and identity. When I came to the United States, I brought so much richness from my home country. I knew about another land. I knew about other experiences. I have grown up raising children. I have learned how to do business transactions. I knew how to drive at the age of 9 years old. So yo tenía mucha experiencia que yo podía compartir en la escuela. Lamentablemente, en la escuela me dijeron, tu cultura no importa. Tu idioma no importa. Y no es que nadie vino y me dijo, ay, no hables español. Ah, no, English only. No había necesidad de que nadie me dijera que no hablara español. Con la misma manera de que no me daban oportunidades para yo hablar español, era un mensaje que decía, si no hablas inglés, no puedes participar. If you don't speak English, you cannot engage. If you don't speak English, you cannot be successful. So that message was ingrained in my head that I started putting all my culture aside. Well, maybe my culture doesn't matter. Maybe my language doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and learn English then. And I grabbed dictionaries and thesauros, and I was trying to learn English as fast as I could, putting aside my language and not validating really my own experiences. I remember one time in my economics class, the teacher gives the assignment on supply and demand. And I start reading supply and demand and the law of how someone will demand something that therefore you have to supply. And here am I thinking in that moment during my assignment, I lived it. Like when I was back in Guatemala, I was supplying oranges and I was demanding the money that I needed for that. So I had experienced that same assignment personally. And I really could have raised my hand and say, hey, puedo contarles la historia de cómo yo, pero no pude hacer eso. Porque nunca un maestro me dijo, cuéntame tu historia, cuéntame de dónde eres, cuéntame lo que viviste. Cuéntame lo que experimentaste. Nunca me dieron la oportunidad de decir, yo soy quien yo soy. Entonces comencé a construir una identidad que no era mía, una identidad de asimilarme al americano, ¿cierto? A vestirme diferente, a hablar diferente, a pronunciar las palabras correctas, because if I don't pronounce it correctly, they give me a rolling eye. So you start building an identity that is really not your own, and that's dangerous. That's dangerous because and then you have children and you pass it on to your children that your culture doesn't matter, that your language doesn't matter, that English only and American culture only. And that's really sad because we are a diverse society where we need our children to inherit this beautiful story, these beautiful experiences that we've had before. Yo tengo estudiantes que no saben ni siquiera cómo es que sus padres llegaron aquí a los Estados Unidos y eso es triste. No es porque no les importe, pero es porque en las escuelas nunca les han preguntado, hey, hagamos una quilt de las historias de nuestros padres, de dónde vinieron, cómo llegaron. Esto no les preguntan. No creen los estudiantes que sus historias son importantes. Y porque no creen que sus historias son importantes, es que ellos no valoran sus historias. Así que comenzando otra vez, regresando aquí al screen share. Again, if you don't see my screen, please, someone just jump in there and tell me. But let's go back to the slide. So here, of course, I just told you the points that drag me down. Estas son las cosas que me hicieron sentir mal. Claro, obtuve 42 credits for graduation. In New York City, you needed 42 credits to graduate, and I had them all. But I ended up dropping out of high school because I didn't pass the American history test. Now, let me just get you something clear here. It's not about the high school diploma because I obtained it anyway. You will find out later how. It's about how I left that campus. It's about feeling like I was a nobody. It's about feeling that I never belonged. It's about feeling that I didn't matter. It's about the sense of belonging in our society. So here am I in a grocery store, hiding behind a register, scanning groceries, knowing in my heart and in my mind that my mother ha venido aquí a limpiar baños y a scrubbing floors so I can be scanning groceries? Are you kidding me? Now, really, this is a profession that is validated. This is a good profession. It paid my bills. It helped me with my living situation. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to be a teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher. And this is where I go into step number 4, which is educación y la carrera. I spent many years feeling like a failure, feeling like I didn't matter, feeling like who I was will never make a difference in society until I met Angie Power. She's a teacher who teaches first grade, and she just needed an assistant to work with her. So here am I years later scanning groceries, and ese deseo de ser profesional, ese deseo de dejar de estar trabajando hora por hora y sin hacer una diferencia comenzó a stirring in my heart, a darle vuelta a mi corazón y a mi mente. ¿Qué estoy haciendo aquí? Mi mamá me trajo a los Estados Unidos para yo ser profesional, para tener una carrera, para romper los círculos de pobreza, ¿cierto? Porque mi mamá fue pobre, mi abuela fue pobre, pero solamente la educación es que rompe esos ciclos. Y claro, uno de los ciclos que no pude romper fue quedar embarazada. My mom, she got pregnant at 15, 16 with me, and here am I at 21 years old, bam! I was all depressed. I was really sad. I was really not knowing what to do with my life. And here am I bringing a child to the world. So I fill out an application and I said, I'm going to work at a school. I know how to clean. So let me fill out an application in Cabarrus County to work as a custodian. Why not? They will give me the job. I know how to clean. But instead, I was hired to work with Angie Power. But she hired me because she knew that I can do the job without me even knowing that I could do it. She asked me, Emily, tell me your story. Where did you come from? What did you do before? What have you done? And of course, I had to share my immigrant story, how I took care of the siblings, how I was here in the country, how I dropped out of high school, and here am I interviewing for a job. She helped me unpack all of that I had put away in that little backpack. I unpacked my language. I started attending college, of course, with her help. I went and got my GED, my associates, RCC, and then I transferred to UNC Charlotte. That's where I was able to embrace mi lenguaje otra vez y atender esas clases de tomar lectura y leer poemas, de de escritores que nunca yo había escuchado de mi país y, cierto, ese bachelor's en español que yo tomé porque hablaba bien y escribía bien el español. Me permitieron tomar clases de graduate, aunque yo estaba en el undergraduate. Era maravilloso todo lo que yo estaba aprendiendo y comencé a amar mi cultura, comencé a amar mi idioma, comencé a mejorar mi escritura, a mejorar de la manera que yo me expreso. Así que ese programa me ayudó to embrace my language, something that if I don't love my language, I can't help my students to love their own language. Así que este programa de Bachelor's in Spanish me ayudó a entender que mi lengua tiene valor. Y claro, I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't want to teach Spanish, even though in the bottom of my mind, I was like, maybe I like to teach Spanish. But one of the reasons why I had dropped out of high school, that I had struggled through college, is because I'm an English language learner, and you're an English language learner for life. Cuando uno habla dos idiomas, cierto, esa dificultad está ahí por siempre. Uno piensa en un idioma y le sale en otro idioma. ¿Cierto? O si uno está pensando en un idioma y algo lo interrumpe, a veces los pensamientos se pierden. Eso es un struggle that bilingual people go through. And then I went to get my master's in teaching English as a second language because I wanted to help students change their narrative, to teach them that education can help us tell a new story. So before I was educated, la historia que yo te iba a contar estaba triste, era llena de depresiones, era llena de tristezas, pero ahora la educación me ha dado una manera de decir mi historia con mucho orgullo, con mucha validez y decir, hey, I'm educated and now I have a new story to tell you. And of course, I do that on campus with my students. Yo me convierto ahora en una persona que advocate, que protege la identidad y la individualidad de una persona, de un estudiante. Saber que estamos educando humanidad, ¿cierto? Porque cuando un estudiante viene aquí de otro país, ellos no vienen a comenzar de nuevo. Ellos vienen aquí a continuar su vida que ya iniciaron. So our job is to develop that humanity, develop that identity, develop that individuality. So yo lo hago con toda mi alma. Cuando estudiantes vienen aquí, les digo que amen su idioma, que amen su historia, que les pregunten a sus papás de dónde son, dónde han venido, quiénes son mis abuelos, quiénes son mis bisabuelos, cómo se vinieron, porque esas historias son muy importantes para que los estudiantes amen su cultura y amen su heritage. Entonces, si les digo a ustedes que levanten la mano, ¿quién conoce realmente la historia de sus padres? ¿Podrían ustedes decir, oh, yo conozco muy bien la historia de mi mamá? Yo conozco muy bien la historia de mi abuela. Yo conozco muy bien porque si no lo sabes, that's your homework. To go home and find out. Because in order for you to embrace your heritage, in order for you to embrace your individuality, you need to know about your background. So make sure you take time to get to know your family. This is my family now. This is my mother. Es la bonita aquí siempre yo, claro. My 3 sisters and my brother. Only 2 of them were able to graduate high school and move on to college without any trouble. 3 of us were high school dropouts. Only 2 of us went back to get a GED. 1 was not able to go back. But we are all impacting nuestra comunidad de una manera u otra. Una corta cabello, otra controla una compañía de camiones, otro trabaja como realtor. Cada uno de nosotros ha escogido una profesión que impacta nuestro nuevo país, our new home. I'm still Guatemalan, by the way. I'm still a legal alien, como le dice la inmigración. Todavía tengo mi green card. Eventually, I will get my citizenship. But for right now, this is my story and my journey, and I sure hope that you heard something that you can identify. And of course, I would like to hear any questions that you have. Gracias por haber escuchado la historia. Como les digo, let's stay in touch with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. ¿Qué preguntas tienen? Ya sean que sean personales o profesionales, yo estoy aquí para contestar cualquier pregunta. Como se dice en inglés, I'm transparent. I'm not hiding anything. So whatever questions you have, bring them on.